Hello, and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 415. My name is Emily Rainbow Davis. Thank you so much for joining me here on the blogcast today, whichever day it happens to be as you listen to this. It's International Podcast Day, which I learned from a podcast group I'm in, and then subsequently via Facebook Memories, because apparently I posted about it 4 years ago, and I just reposted the memory because I thought, oh heck, I bet you that algorithm does better with memories than it does with new posts, because Facebook is the way it is. I'm trying a little something different with the audio here today, so let me know if you're like, oh, it sounds so much better than usual. That would be good information. If it just sounds just the same, it's really not a big deal. But if you notice a change in quality due to this little thing, let me know. So, hello, welcome. If you've never listened to this podcast before, welcome. Very happy to have you here. The way it works is I'm going to blabber a little tiny bit more, not much more. And then I'm going to read you a blog, and then I will sing you a song that is related to the blog. And that is the way it goes. So today's blog is about Sinead O'Connor. You can tell I was not so sure about this one because the date of when I wrote it compared to when I finally posted it, it took me a while because I don't remember exactly when that documentary was available. It was on the anniversary of her death, which I'm pretty sure was in the summertime, either July or August. And then I didn't post this until September 18th. So I don't know why I felt weird about it, but I did. And, people seem to like it, so I think it's fine. It is called I Let You Down SInéad. The loss of Sinead O'Connor hit me harder than I would have expected. I hadn't been much of a fan in her glory days, and while I respected her, I hadn't paid her much mind in the intervening years. I suppose I'd imagined she'd always be here, and I looked forward to seeing what an old lady version of Sinead might get up to, and then suddenly, she was gone. In the outpouring of press in the wake of her death, I learned a lot about her and saw many clips, and I started to feel embarrassed about my previous disinterest. The film about her was made available on the anniversary of her death, so I watched it. I felt I owed it to her. Sinead O'Connor was very young when she started, and her affect didn't seem all that different to many of my teenage peers. I felt she was one of us, even though she was 7 years older than me. I loved the first song of hers I heard. Mandinka was super weird and fun and spun my teen head around. But somehow she lost me after that, and I keep digging deeper, trying to understand why. The thing is, I think teen Emily could really have used many of the things O'Connor was offering. It would have been good medicine to be able to connect to the rage in that music, but the rage may have been what scared teen Emily off. Now I admire it, feel it, connect to it. I'm deeply impressed by the way O'Connor could sing such open notes of anger without putting the brakes on it at all. It is a wonder to behold. But teen Emily didn't like it. She liked how O'Connor fought for what she believed in. She was impressed by the fight for abortion rights in Ireland. She admired her choice to shave her head. After all, teen Emily had some punk friends. It wasn't that weird. But somehow, teen Emily just didn't like the sound of everything. It wasn't pretty most of the time, and teen Emily was very concerned with things sounding pretty. I suspect that having been told for most of my life that I had a pretty voice, I overly valued pretty sounds. I couldn't stand the voices of Bob Dylan or Neil Young, and while O'Connor had some pretty moments, she often took her sound to some decidedly unpretty places. I didn't get it. With all those octaves at her beck and call, why wasn't she singing show tunes? I think the other thing that got in my way was how earnest she was. I had learned pretty early on that being earnest was not cool, and while O'Connor was clearly very cool, her earnestness seemed very not, somehow. I had trouble accepting how seriously she took changing the world. I mean, I wanted to change the world too, but I never wanted to be that sincere about it. I maybe resented her ability to get away with it. In the film about her life, watching the infamous SNL performance, again, that torched her career, I felt afraid for her. Partly because I'm in the future and I know what's coming, but also because I think I was afraid for her then, too. She was incredibly brave and uncompromising, but also naive and fragile. It really does feel as if she thinks she can change the world with a Bob Marley song, and it's so well-intentioned, but also a little clumsy. The messaging felt muddy. What does the Pope's picture have to do with this litany of a song? She had good reasons for all of it, but most people didn't stick around long enough to find out what they were. She got slammed so hard. The world told Sinead O'Connor to shut up so aggressively. It was brutal. As a young woman, all I wanted was to make sure I never let that happen to me. It shut me up, too, for a while. Watching someone take a risk like that and then get pilloried. Just the year before, Anita Hill had spoken up about Clarence Thomas's bad behavior and received similarly horrible backlash. Both have had their stories validated in subsequent years, but women speaking truth to power was a big risk in those days. It's still a big risk. Look what happened to Christine Blasey Ford. The only reason I can get away with it at all in this space is because no one's paying attention. Anyway, I'm sorry, Sinead O'Connor. I should have had your back. I wish I'd been able to hear you better at the time. Thanks for being here as long as you were, and for sharing your vulnerability and your rage. So I have a friend who worked on this film. I've thought about mentioning it in the post, but I didn't really know how to be like, shout out to the archivist. Anyway, I'm going to do that here since I really couldn't find a space for it in the blog, but shout out to the archivist on Nothing Compares. And I feel like there was like some note in the text that the Prince estate wouldn't let them use the song Nothing Compares to You in the film, which is like, come on, guys. Oh, anyway. Still, no? What? But they could call the movie Nothing Compares. So they did. And it is a really interesting film. And yeah, I'm sorry, Sinead. Anyway. So, of course, what am I going to sing? You know I had to try it. I had to. Like, what am I going to do? Not sing a Sinead O'Connor song? I had to do it. So I'm going to sing you Mandinka in just a minute because that's the song of hers I've always loved. And I thought it would be fun. And it has been fun. It's hard, but fun. And in doing it, I also like ended up listening to the album that Mandinka is on. And like, I realized I know it. Like, I didn't have The Lion and the Cobra, but I must have had a friend or two or three or 17 friends. I feel like I had a lot of friends who had that album, and I probably listened to it with them because I was shocked to discover that I knew every single song. Not, like to necessarily sing along with, but almost, some of them. Anyway, that was surprising to me. I didn't think I knew more than a few Sinead O'Connor songs, and it turns out I know a whole album's worth. Yeah, so I'm going to sing you Mandinka in just a moment. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. If you like this blogcast, please tell someone about it. Like, review, subscribe in any old podcast app or all of them. What the heck? Go crazy. I found a lovely new review recently. They don't really notify you, so like you don't know. But luckily, I have this like weird thing called Chartable, which is actually going out of business. But it did notify me maybe like a month after it was posted. I have a suspicion about the writer because I recognize his style. But I am grateful for I am grateful for that review and all reviews. And if you feel like it, you don't even have to say like, you know, a lot of words. You can just be like, fabulous, or whatever you want to say. Just give it 5 stars. Anyway, so that, and then if you would like to support this podcast and the writing that creates it, you can go to patreon.com/Emily R. Davis. You could also donate via Ko-fi, PayPal, or if you are a Substack person, you can become a paid subscriber on Substack. If you have another way that you like to support artists, please let me know about it. I'm happy to get on to another platform. You know, I'm everywhere if I can be. And mostly thank you for listening. It's great to have you here, especially on International Podcast Day. How are you celebrating? You're probably not listening on International Podcast Day because I'm recording this kind of late. So International Podcast Day is probably over, at least in Europe by now. Anyway, you can celebrate the day after Podcast Day if you want. Anyway, so I'm going to play you Mandinka. I played it on my electric guitar, which I haven't played in ages. It was so out of tune. And it was fun to sort of get it back out and mess around with just playing for a minute. The advantage of the electric is that it can plug right into my computer. So I can sing and play without you hearing the singing part. So I could record sort of 2 tracks. In this case, more like 7 tracks, but you know. You know what I'm saying. So you're going to hear some electric guitar. My guitar's name is Miss Charlotte Bronte, and she helped me out here. And then just like a couple of Emily's, because what the heck? Because I don't have a drum. Oh, I do have a drum, but not one that would sound good on this song. I just want to say also, recording this, working on it, working through it, exploring it, made me appreciate Sinead O'Connor even more than I did before. So I appreciate that opportunity a lot. And also recording it really made me appreciate her sound guys, like her sound engineers. Like I could not figure out like the balance of like where I needed to be in relationship to the mic, where I wasn't gonna blow it out. So I this is the cheater's way to sound engineer, but I just stepped way back from the mic on those big like belty bits. So you'll hear that, and you'll go like, and you too will appreciate Sinead O'Connor's sound engineers, because they had a job, and she always sounded amazing in every recording I've heard. So I think they did a really good job. And so did she. Anyway, here is Mandinka. I'm dancing the 7 veils. Want you to pick up my scarf. See how the black moon fades. Soon I can give you my heart. Feed the They're throwing it all this way, dragging it back to the start. And they say, see how the glass is raised. I have refused to take part. I told them, drink something new. Please, let me pull something through. I don't know, no shame. I feel no pain, I can't. I don't know, no shame. I feel no pain, I can't. See the flame, but I do know mending kind. I do know mending kind. I do know mending kind. I do. I do. I do. I say I do. I say I do.